Namaskar friends, welcome to the fifth video of standard 11th chapter 2nd, that is biological classification. In the previous video we have already seen about the fundamentals of classification, kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista and kingdom Fungi, and now we are moving to the last part, that is kingdom Plantae, kingdom Animalia in a brief and bit detail about the virus, viroids and lichens according to our textbook. So, welcome to Vigyan with Vishal Mulia, welcome to Biology with Vishal Mulia, welcome. Let me begin with the kingdom Plantae. Kingdom Plantae include all eukaryotic chlorophyll containing organism which is commonly known as plants. We are knowing them as a plant very well. The few members are partially heterotrophic, such as insectivorous group. This insectivorous group, or you can say insectivorous plants, are heterotrophic, otherwise they are autotrophic. Few are parasite, few are saprophyte also. Little bit discussion will be here, rest of or more detail will be there in the NEET level lectures. Bladder rot is one of the example of the insectivorous plant which you can see here. Another well-known example of the insectivorous plant is Venus flytrap, and you can see Venus flytrap here in the photograph. Cuscuta is the one which is the best example of parasitic plant. There are more parasitic plant also which we are going to study in detail in the coming days. The plants are having eukaryotic cell structure because there is a presence of cell nucleus. You can see presence of nucleus here, so it is having eukaryotic cell structure, and they are having many membrane bound organelles. They have a prominent chloroplast for the photosynthesis purpose, and they have cell wall which is mainly made up of cellulose, and cellulosic cell wall is the identity of plant kingdom. In fungi it is made up of fungus cellulose, while here it is made up of pure cellulose. This plant kingdom include algae, bryophyte, pteridophyte. Though P is there, it is pronounced as pteridophyte, gymnosperms, and the well-dominating plant, that is angiosperms. Life cycle of plant is having two distinct phases, that is diploid sporophytic phase and haploid gametophytic phase. This diploid sporophytic phase and haploid gametophytic phase is alternating with each other, so we can say it is alteration of generation. The length of the haploid plant or length of the diploid phase, that is dependent on the plant group, whether they are free living, whether they are dependent on each other. It is vary from the group to group. Alga is having different, bryophyte is having different condition, pteridophyte is having different condition, and we are going to study it very much in detail in the next chapter and in the NEET level videos. This phenomena of alterating the haploid generation and diploid generation, that means the sporophytic generation and gametophytic generation, is known as alteration of generation, and that is one of the characteristics of the plant kingdom. We are going to study that in very much detail in the coming chapter, that is chapter 3. Let me go through the brief about the animal kingdom or kingdom Animalia. They are characterized by heterotrophic nutrition, means they are dependent on other organism for the food. They are eukaryotic organism, means they have the eukaryotic cell which is having a very clear nuclear wall or nuclear membrane. So membrane bound nucleus and other membrane bound organelles are there. So eukaryotic cell wall cell condition is there. These organisms or the organisms belongs to this kingdom are generally multicellular in nature, and there is no cell wall, so they are having lack of cell wall. Otherwise, Cell wall is present in the plant kingdom, we know very well, but animal kingdom is characterized by cell having lack of cell wall. They are directly or indirectly depend on the plants for the food purpose or for the nutrition purpose, we can say, and they digest food by the internal cavity, that is the digestive system, and the stored food material is either glycogen or fat. They have this special mode of nutrition, that is holozoic. I mean, they digest the food, they ingest the food, they chew the food, they swallow the food, and that is known as holozoic mode of nutrition. And with that nutrition, they have a definite pattern of the growth as well as development, and that particular pattern is leading to the growth into the adult size, and that adult size is having definite shape and definite size. Higher forms are having elaborate sensory as well as neuromotor mechanism. In the sensory mechanism, they have sensing for the light, sense for the sound, sense for touch, temperature, pressure, and chemical senses by taste also. And with this sense, they have the capacity to reflect also, that is through the neuromotor mechanism. So they sense and they reflect, or they give the response to the sensory stimuli. Most of them are capable of movement, they are capable of locomotion, they move very well. And animal means the one which animate, they do the movement, and we know very well we are doing movement and we are capable of locomotion and movement. The sexual reproduction is thereby copulation of male and female, and this copulation is followed by embryological development. The silent feature of various phyla is detailedly described in chapter 4, and we are going to study very much in detail when we go through chapter 4, that is classification of animal kingdom. Let me go very specific to the particular part in our textbook, that is virus, viroids and lichens. This virus, viroids and lichens are not classified in the Whitaker's classification system because they are acellular organism or they are having different form. Let me go through detail about each one. Begin with the virus. All of us are knowing about the virus very well because we may suffer from common cold or flu, and we know very well how virus affect us. We know that what can be the effect of virus on us. HIV is best example, and other than HIV, coronavirus or COVID-19 is the one which known to all of us, and we know what exactly the problem or what exactly the effect of virus on us. Virus can have effect on us without association or without coming directly in touch with us, and the problem lies with the viruses. They don't have cell, they are not true living organism, and that's why it is very difficult to classify them, or it is not found the place in the classification system. They are not truly living, and if we understand the living organism, the one which is having cell, we cannot classify or we cannot include virus. The viruses are non-cellular organism. Viruses are characterized by having inert crystalline structure outside the living cell. Out of the cell, out of the living cell, they are just a crystal, just a chemical crystal, and the moment this crystal is entering in our body, means once they infect us, they use our machinery, they use the machinery of host cell and replicate themselves, multiply themselves and kill the host. Here we can see that very well in the condition in the animation form, but more detail we can see the step by step. Take the example. This is the beginning of the replication of virus. The moment virus found any of the host cell, they start coming in contact with that, and they pass through, or they cut the cell membrane or cell wall, whatever is there, and put or incept the nuclear material, genetic material. This genetic material mixed with the genetic material of the living host and multiply. After multiplication, this genetic material make the protein also, and after making protein, complete virus will be formed. And once the virus will be there in the quantity, I mean the viral load is high, they burst the host cell, they kill the host cell and move out. And after moving out, they roam around the body of the host, and again they start infecting the other cells. So this is how they transfer from one cell to another cell, and one organism to another organism. So what will you say, whether they are living or non-living? Let me go through the history. The name virus means the venom or poisonous fluid, and that is what described by Louis Pasteur, one of the well-known scientists in biology. D.J. Vansque in 1892 recognized certain microbes as a causal organism for mosaic disease in tobacco. So for tobacco mosaic disease, some of the causal organisms are there, and this causal organism are passing from the bacterial filter, so they are smaller than the bacteria. And we know very well now they are very much smaller than the bacteria. Later on, M.W. Bajornik in 1898 demonstrated that the extract is having capacity to infect the tobacco plant, which is the healthy one, but the extract from the infected plant can infect to the healthy plant and create the same character which is there in the infected plant. So he called that particular liquid as the contagium vivum fluidium, means the liquid which is capable of infection. So the the liquid which is capable of infection means the living liquid which is transferring the disease. Very later, W.M. Stanley in 1935 showed that the virus can be crystallized. This living fluid, or this poisonous living fluid, can be crystallized, and we can see their crystals, and that crystal is containing mainly proteins. They are inert outside the host cell. The moment they are entering in the living organism, they become active, so they are obligate parasite. Here in one of the symptoms you can see that the person is saying keep distance, you are virulent, and virus is saying don't worry, I am just a crystal. But we know very well, once this crystal is entering in the living organism, they can act as the infectious organism. In addition to protein, viruses is having genetic material, and that genetic material can be either DNA or RNA, never both together. In general, this virus is having nucleoprotein, and that nucleoprotein is acting as the infectious material. And the virus which is infecting the plant is generally having single-stranded RNA, while the viruses which is infecting to animals are generally having single-stranded or double-stranded RNA or double-stranded DNA. Even there are certain viruses which is infecting to bacteria. We are calling them as the bacterial virus or bacteriophage, and they are usually having double-stranded DNA. So they are double-stranded DNA virus. The protein coat which is there on the DNA, that is made up of precisely called capsomere, and we are calling that as capsid, and this capsid is protecting the nucleic acid, and this capsid is having various shape. It can be arranged in the helical way. So capsomere can be having helical arrangement, we can see it here, as well as they can have polyhedral geometric form that can be seen here, and accordingly we are knowing the virus like polyhedral virus. Virus can cause lot many diseases like mumps, smallpox, herpes, influenza. Of course, HIV and COVID-19 is well known, but few of them are included in our textbook here. Mumps can be seen here. There is a swelling in the face, and that is caused by mumps. Smallpox, generally in it is known as ori, or it is recognized by having spots on the skin. Herpes is occurring either on the face or even on the reproductive organs. Influenza is commonly known as infectious disease with common cold as well as fever. AIDS is well known to us, and it is caused by virus, that is HIV. And once it is infecting to plant, it is having so many symptoms like mosaic formation, leaf curling, leaf rolling, leaf yellowing, vein clearing, dwarfing, sustained growth. Let we see each one with a photograph. This is the mosaic formation commonly occurring in the case of tobacco, that is tobacco leaf mosaic virus. Leaf rolling, where the leaf is rolled. Leaf curling, where leaf is having irregular curling. Yellowing is happening because of loss of chlorophyll in the cell, and when virus is passing through the vein, it is clearing the or it is killing the cells, or it is damaging to chlorophyll, and that's why vein clearing can be seen. Dwarfism is one of the character or one of the symptoms of the viral infection. Here we can see the comparison of healthy plant as well as the dwarf plant, and dwarfism is just associated with height, but when the overall growth is less, it is known as stunted growth, which can be compared with the healthy one, and we can see stunted growth very well. Now if we move to viroids, these viroids were discovered by T.O. Diner in 1971 as a new infectious agent. This new infectious agent is much smaller than the virus, and it was found causing disease to the potato, and that is potato spindle tuber. Here we can see the comparison of healthy potato with the spindle shaped potato tuber. So that is caused by viroids. These viroids are free RNA. There is no protein, so there is lack of protein coat, which is otherwise found in the viruses, and that is one of the reason it is known as viroid, the smaller form of virus, smaller RNA form and without protein. The protein coat, to which we are calling capsid, which is found in the virus, is completely absent here. We can see very well it is made up of only RNA, and the RNA which is found in the viroid is having much molecular weight less in comparison to viruses. The last part, that is lichens, and lichens are symbiotic association between algae and fungi. So it is mutually useful association of algae and fungi. Algal component is known as phycobiont, while the fungal component is known as mycobiont, based on their Latin name. This algal component, or otherwise we can say phycobiont component, is autotrophic in nature, while the fungal component or the mycobiont is heterotrophic in nature. Alga is preparing food for fungi, and fungi is providing shelter, absorb mineral nutrients and water for their partner, that is alga. So here it is mutually helping to each other, and they are having so close association in the nature that if we see the lichen in the nature, we cannot recognize that there are two different organisms in a one particular symbiotic form. So they are closely associated with each other, and we are going to study about lichens in detail once we go through the NEET level studies of this particular group. The lichens are very good indicators for the pollution because they don't grow in the polluted area. So they are found in those area where pollution is less or pollution is absent. That means you can find it very well in the forest area, not in our city area. So with this we come to the end of this particular chapter, that is biological classification. Thank you very much. In coming days we are going to study more and more detail about the further chapters, that is plant kingdom, animal kingdom, and so on. Till that, thank you very much. Dhanyavad. Jai Hind. Jai Bharat.